You know, in the tech world, we see giants rise and fall all the time. But what if I told you a company that, for most people, was all about video games suddenly became the most valuable company on Earth? Well, that is the incredible story of NVIDIA. And today, we're going to break down exactly how they did it. So, get this. On June 18th, 2024, for a moment in time, NVIDIA did the unthinkable. They shot past Microsoft, they shot past Apple, and became the single most valuable company in the world, topping out at a mind-boggling $3.34 trillion. Which brings us to the big question, right? How on earth did that happen? How does a company famous for making your computer games look pretty engineer a path to total global dominance? The answer, it turns out, is this brilliant 25-year story of hardware, software, and just an unbelievable foresight. Okay, so to really get how NVIDIA is crushing it today, we have to rewind the clock, way before AI was on anyone's radar. The very first piece of this whole puzzle, the foundation of their entire empire, starts with one revolutionary piece of tech. Back in 1999, NVIDIA dropped the GeForce 256, and they called it the world's first ever GPU, or Graphics Processing Unit. And its job was pretty straightforward, to take all the heavy lifting of making 3D graphics look good off of the computer's main brain, the CPU, so that games could look and run better than you'd ever seen before. So to get why the GPU is such a big deal, you have to understand how it thinks. See, a CPU is kind of like a master chef. It's brilliant at doing really complex things, but it does them one at a time, in a specific order. A GPU, though, a GPU is like an army of 1,000 junior chefs, all doing a simple, repetitive task, like chopping an onion, at the exact same time. And that right there is the magic of what we call parallel processing. And here it is. This is the light bulb moment. Training a modern AI involves doing tons and tons of simple, repetitive math problems over and over again. And as it turns out, that exact same parallel design that made video games look so incredible was also the perfect engine for the AI revolution. It was like an accidental masterpiece. But look, having a powerful engine is one thing, but you've got to know how to drive it, right? This is where NVIDIA's second masterstroke comes in. And this time, it wasn't about the hardware. It was about the software. Way back in 2006. I mean, this is long before AI was a term anyone really used. NVIDIA released something called CUDA. Now, you can think of CUDA as a universal software key. It basically unlocked the GPU's massive parallel power for everybody, not just for game developers. All of a sudden, scientists, researchers, financial analysts, they could all use that army of junior chefs for their own super complex calculations. And this is how they built what people in business call a moat, a massive competitive advantage. Over 2 decades, an entire generation of developers and AI researchers grew up learning how to code using CUDA. A huge ecosystem of tools and libraries was built on top of it. So when the AI gold rush finally hit, guess what? Everyone was already using NVIDIA's tools. Trying to switch to a competitor would mean starting all over from scratch. It was just too hard and way too expensive. All right, so at this point, NVIDIA has the best hardware with the GPU, and they have the dominant software with CUDA. But as AI models started getting bigger and bigger, a totally new, massive problem started to pop up. And that problem was, what happens when just one GPU isn't powerful enough? I mean, to train these giant models like ChatGPT, you need thousands of GPUs all working together, like one single massive brain. So how do you get them all to talk to each other fast enough without causing a gigantic data traffic jam? And this leads us to NVIDIA's third genius move. In 2019, they spent almost $7 billion to buy a company called Mellanox. Now, at the time, a lot of people just thought, oh, they're buying a networking company, okay. But what they didn't see was that NVIDIA was playing chess while everyone else was still playing checkers. So let's call this out. Here's a key knowledge gap. Why is the networking part so hard? Well, because when you're running an AI data center with thousands of GPUs, the biggest problem, the biggest bottleneck, isn't the speed of the chips themselves anymore. It's the speed at which you can move these enormous amounts of data between them. And Mellanox, they were the world leaders in doing exactly that, creating super high-speed connections. The best way to think about it is with this analogy. If all those powerful GPUs are the individual brains doing all the thinking, well then Mellanox's technology is the super-fast nervous system that connects them all together. It's the thing that lets thousands of separate brains act like one single, incredibly powerful supercomputer. So now they have all three pieces in place, right? The hardware, the software, and the networking. With all three pillars, NVIDIA was finally ready to pull back the curtain on its grand vision. They weren't just selling computer parts anymore. They were selling the entire factory. And you can see it right here. Even back in 2019, their CEO, Jensen Huang, was laying it all out. He said the vision was to treat the entire data center as one giant computer. He wasn't just thinking about selling chips, he was thinking about selling the whole blueprint for the AI factory of the future. So this is the key takeaway. NVIDIA sells the whole package. The GPUs are the brains. CUDA is the language those brains speak. Mellanox provides the nervous system, and they even sell the whole blueprint with systems like their DGX SuperPODs, which are basically pre-built AI supercomputers ready to go. They offer the full stack, from a single tiny chip all the way up to an entire AI factory. So there you have it, three strategic pillars, hardware, software, networking, all built up over 25 years that all came together to create the undisputed engine of this new AI era. But of course, this just raises some huge new questions about what happens next. And now it's your turn to dig in. The race is on for competitors like AMD and Intel to build their own competing ecosystems. You have to wonder, as these AI factories get bigger and bigger, are they going to hit real-world physical limits, like how much power they can use, or how you can even cool them? And maybe the biggest question of all is, can anyone truly break free from that software moat that NVIDIA so brilliantly built with CUDA? Which leaves us with one final big question to think about. NVIDIA built the blueprint for the AI factory of today, but as tech keeps changing, who is going to design the blueprint for tomorrow? Thanks for tuning in.